What's going on? This is your favorite speaker, Britton Harvest. Hashtag breadcrumbs. Hashtag random acts of kindness, RAK. Hashtag rack motivation. I'm coming to you all, man, because I want you all to understand and get let's just say this. Your belief system is the reason why you're in the situation that you're in, why you believe and think the things that you do. And that belief system is it's a powerful tool, very powerful. And without changing your belief system, nothing in your life will ever change. You will continue to get the same results that you've been getting. And the reason you're getting those same results is because your belief system has not changed. How you view yourself, your perception of who you are, that has never changed. And until that changes, you're going to always continue to get the same thing that you've been getting. My job and the purpose of this video is to help you change your belief system. And in order to do that, you have to be welcoming new information and embrace that information to the point where it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel strange. You're going to feel like, man, why am I doing this? Why am I listening to Britton videos? I know he's my favorite speaker, but come on, man, I know what I'm doing. I ain't got to do all of this. It's that mentality. That's the reason why you are where you are. That's the reason why you haven't excelled in your career. That's the reason why your marriages are failing, your relationships are failing. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. Change your belief system. Your belief system is exactly what you're telling yourself subconsciously and consciously. You have an idea in your head of who you are. Nobody has to tell you that. And that idea that you have in your head, that's exactly what you are allowing to play out in reality. You see, in order for things to change, you have to change your mind first. And until your mind changes, your reality will never change. And a lot of you are afraid to change your mind because you're stuck in your tradition. You have ways of doing things that you really don't know why you're doing it. All you can say to yourself is, well, that's the way my dad or my mom did it. Or that's the way my uncle or my aunt did it. Or that's the way my grandma or grandpa did it. So that's the reason why you're doing it. But if you actually sat back and thought about it, say to yourself, you know what? Why do I do this? Why do I treat the women in my life the way that I do? Why do I give the men in my life a hard time when I know they have my best interests at heart? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself, because once you have a deep, in-depth conversation with yourself, all of a sudden you begin to come up with answers. And the answer today is your belief system. Your belief system hasn't changed. And until you start thinking a different thought about yourself, you're going to continue to get what you've been getting thus far. See, your belief system, I don't care what ability you have. I don't care how much potential you have. Your potential will never rise above your belief system. See, your belief system has to rise before everything else beyond that or under that rises. And until this rises, which is your belief system, you will never get to where you're trying to go. You will never accomplish the things that you're trying to accomplish. I'm telling you this from experience. I'm not just speaking to you all because I haven't been through this. I had to go through this. And by going through this, it taught me a valuable lesson. Always be cognizant of the voice or the conversation that you're having with yourself. Always. Because that conversation that you're having with yourself, that's the most important conversation you'll ever have. That's the most important conversation you will ever have. Because that little voice, that little conversation that you're having with yourself, that is going to determine whether you're going to try or not try, whether you're going to make it or whether you're going to fail, whether you're going to be successful or whether you're going to end up as average and like everybody else, because as soon as something gets tough, they all of a sudden throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to move on to something else. That little voice, that little conversation is so important and it's so paramount. You don't even understand what you're doing to yourself by telling yourself and psyching yourself out over and over again. Regardless of what happened with the people that came before you and they were not successful, do not take their experiences and apply them to yourself, because once you do that and you tell yourself, you know what, this can't be done. This can't be done. Nobody's ever made that kind of money before in this business. So if nobody's ever made that kind of money before, I know I can't do it. You see that kind of conversation that you're having with yourself? That's a no-no. That's a no-no. Because first of all, you use the word can't. You should take that word out of your vocabulary right now. Never use the word can't. Never use the word can't, and never use the word never. And I use those two words for a reason. I don't use them. And the reason I don't use them is because it's like this. Once you tell yourself that you can't do something, psychologically, you've already psyched yourself out. So guess what your body's going to do? It's going to respond to that little voice that you're talking to, or you're telling yourself in your head, the conversation that you're having in your head. You keep telling yourself that it can't be done, so it's not going to be done. You keep telling yourself that you're not going to succeed, so you're not going to make it. It's not going to pan out, man. And if it's not going to pan out and you going into it with that kind of attitude, guess what's going to happen? You go into a job interview thinking that you're not going to get the job. You shouldn't even apply for it in the first place. When you go into a job interview, you're supposed to have supreme confidence that, you know what, I already got this job. Me talking to them is just a formality. I already got the job. That's the kind of confidence you're supposed to exude when you walk into that room. They're supposed to feel your energy and how much you believe in yourself when you walk into that room. And I can guarantee you something. I can guarantee you your presence will be felt. I can guarantee you you will separate yourself from all the other applicants that have tried out for that position. But it's not until you start believing in yourself and start believing that you can do it. Once you change that belief system, everything else around you starts to change. But it will not change until you change. And a lot of you are afraid to do that. A lot of you are afraid to do it because you're saying to yourself, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's around the corner. Well, I can tell you one thing. For the last 15 years, you knew what was down the street and around the block, because that's exactly what you've been doing. Is that what you want to continue to do? Or do you want to err on the side of the possibilities? Because see, looking at the glass as half empty, no. That same glass, when I look at it, I look at possibilities. That's what I see. I see endless possibilities because I'm looking at it as half full. And when you look at something as half full, you know all you got to do is put forth the effort, and everything else is going to pan out. You've been living in an average world for so long. You've been doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results for so long. What you waiting on? Why are you so afraid to change? You have to have the mentality of, I'm going to do it no matter what. Take the options off the table. Because when you go to the table with options, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have 2 or 3 things that are going to distract you from what it is that you should be doing. Find out exactly what it is that you want to do. Once you find out exactly what it is that you want to do, you do it 100%. Don't give it 70. Don't give it 80. Give it 100. Because if you give it 70, you're going to get a percentage of your 70. Your return on your investment is going to be 70%. And now you're going to second guess whether you're in the right field or whether you're doing the right thing. If you give it 100%, I guarantee you the results are going to follow. Because you're going to have the mindset of, I'm going to accomplish what I need to accomplish no matter what. You have to have that attitude. And it's a lot of people that you're surrounding yourself with that are feeding into that negative story that you're telling yourself. And that's the reason why you keep giving up. You have to change your circle. You have to change your environment if that's the case. If you got to relocate and change jobs, sometimes you have to do that. You may change jobs and learn something at another job because that first job was actually suppressing you. They didn't want to teach you. They didn't want to teach you because they're not leaders. See, you all are getting it confused. You all think just because a person is a manager that they're a leader. You are so far from the truth. And so, I mean, just because a person has a title of a manager, that does not mean that they are a leader. It's a difference. Huge difference. And you all are looking at your managers and your supervisors as leaders. They're not leaders. Just because they have that title, that does not constitute a leader. Now you all are saying, well, what's the difference? I'll tell you some examples of what's the difference. Leaders empower you. Leaders give you the information that you need to make an intelligent decision. If I have information and I know it's going to benefit you and I choose to withhold that information, I'm not being a leader. If I have information that I know is going to help you get to that next level, or I can make a phone call and that phone call is going to help you get to the next level, I'm not being a leader. I'm not being a leader because I'm sitting up here making it hard for you when I know that you're putting in the work. And the reason people withhold information from you is because they know that they're not bringing anything to the table. It's tough, isn't it? It's tough when somebody tells you, I'm not going to tell you this because that's job security. The more I withhold from you, the more I secure my job and my position. That's a tough pill to swallow, but you have people telling folks that all the time. They might not tell you that to your face, but when they having conversations around other managers, that's exactly what they're saying to themselves and other people. That's job security. I'm not going to tell them that. Why would you not? Why would you not want somebody to replace you? Why would you not build somebody up to the point where they can potentially get your position and you can move on to something else? That's what leaders do. And if you're in a position where people are looking up to you as a leader and you're not upholding that title as a leader, you're just a manager or a supervisor, you're in the wrong position. You're supposed to pour into people just like somebody poured into you. But you all are getting positions and all of a sudden you're sitting on your hands and you don't want to give out any information. You don't want to help nobody out. And you're thinking, oh, well, if I don't help them out, that's as long as I can be able to sit here. You're becoming complacent. Why would you want to sit in a position for the rest of your life? What's the purpose of that? Because once you sit in that position for the rest of your life, you're no longer growing. All the information that you know is what you've already known. And if it's what you've already known, guess what? You ain't taking in nothing else new. So who have you built up? Who have you empowered? Who have you showed the light to? Y'all want to keep everybody in the dark. That's foolish. Because if you want to keep people in the dark, you're going to have a whole team that's in the dark. And if your whole team is in the dark, how can they be successful? You can't do it all by yourself. And a lot of people get in certain positions and think that they can. That's a messed up belief system. And I feel for you if you're in that position where you have somebody that is above you and they are making it as hard as they can for you to be successful. We have a lot of managers in this world. We have a lot of supervisors. We have a lot of executives. Very few leaders. Very few. And I see it all day, every day. When you know you come into contact with a leader, you can tell by their actions. They move differently. They're not subject to tradition. They quick to let you know where you went wrong, and in the same token, they'll turn around and build you up as you're walking out the door. Because how can I expect for you to go out and do your job if I'm sitting up there chastising you and degrading you and clipping your wings every chance that I get? That's not leadership. And you all think, and I'm talking to the people that are managers right now, you all think that the longer you do that, the better your chances of you going to the next level, because you don't have nobody threatening you for your position. That's stupid. Why would you not want some friendly competition? Why would you not want somebody that's going to push you and make you a better person? Because I can guarantee you this, you were not born into that position. Somebody had to give you a shot. So if somebody gave you a shot, why would you not want to give somebody else a shot? That's crazy. But you all are going to your jobs every day, doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results, and you're wondering why you ain't becoming successful. You're wondering why you ain't taking things up a notch. I'm up here to tell you why you're not. You haven't changed your belief system. Your belief system is exactly what everybody else is telling you that you are. Their opinion of you is becoming your reality. So all of a sudden, if you got 3 or 4 people telling you the same thing, now all of a sudden you're starting to believe it. Now you're starting to believe that story, and you start telling yourself that story, and that's the worst thing you can ever do. Because once you start telling yourself that story, they don't even have to say it anymore. Their job is done. All they wanted to do was get you off your square. They want you to not become focused. That's all they wanted you to do. Once they got in your head and they've done that, guess what? They can move on to somebody else now. Now they got you because they're in your psyche. And once you get into somebody's head, the body will follow. Wherever the head and the mind goes, the body goes. And if somebody's telling you that you're no good, that you'll never be anything in life, that you suck, that you're a bad parent, or that you don't know what the heck you're doing, you don't know how to raise your child, you start listening to these stories all over and over again, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start believing it. That's the way the psyche works. It works off of repetition. So guess what? All of those different negative stories that have been told to you all your life, you all of a sudden now got to start rebuilding yourself. You got to tear yourself apart. Once you tear yourself apart, you have to rebuild yourself with positive affirmations. You got to start telling yourself how beautiful you are. You got to start telling yourself how well you can accomplish certain things and how great you are as a parent. You have to start telling yourself that. Because if you don't tell yourself that and you continue to listen to the same thing that you've been listening to all your life, you're going to continue to be that which is average. Changing your belief system is not easy. Sometimes you got to go into hibernation. Sometimes you got to detox from people, detox from your telephone, detox from social media. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you got to take a couple of steps back just to take 3 or 4 steps forward. And if it takes that, then do it. What are you waiting on? Unless you like getting the results that you've been getting. If you're not making the money that you think you should be making, change your belief system. If you're not attracting the people in your life that you feel as though you should be attracting, change your belief system. Because I can guarantee you this, once your belief system changes, the people that you surround yourself with will change. You will not surround yourself with people that are gossiping, that are messy, that keep up drama, that's always talking about people, because those people have nothing going on in their life. So guess what? Because they don't have anything going on in their life, they're going to sit up there and be in everybody else's business. It's no different than when you ride through different neighborhoods and you have the older people sitting on the front porch watching everybody that drive by. They don't have anything else better to do. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to watch everything and everybody that goes and comes throughout the neighborhood. They're going to watch your house. They're going to watch the neighbor's house. They're going to watch their neighbor's house. They're going to keep doing that because that's all they got. You don't want to be that way. There are books that you can be reading. There are videos that you could be watching. There are people that you could be talking to where iron sharpens iron. The music that you're listening to is not enabling you to get to that next level. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Because you've been listening to that music all your life and you're still in that same position. You've been watching those TV shows for the last 5 years. You're still in that same position. You haven't changed anything about your everyday routine. And because you haven't changed anything about your everyday routine, you're still making the same money that you used to make. So when everybody else can travel, when everybody else can buy certain things, when everybody else can buy their kids whatever their kids want, and you sitting around here hating, being a keyboard bully, The reason you're doing that because you're not doing anything with yourself. There's nothing that they're doing that you can't do. The only difference is they've changed their belief system. And I refuse to hang around people that are not doing anything. I refuse to hang around people that have so much potential, but they choose not to tap into it because they're believing the story that they have about themselves. My job is to change that story. And I can't change it for you, but I can actually show you. I can show you what I did. I can show you everything that I'm doing. And it's up to you to pick up the breadcrumbs. That's not my job. Because I'm dropping breadcrumbs because I'm steady picking up the breadcrumbs somebody ahead of me are dropping. But I can't carry all those loads, so guess what's going to happen? I'm going to drop some. And those breadcrumbs that I'm dropping, pick it up. If you choose not to follow, so be it. That's your choice. But don't sit and complain once you realize that your life is not going the way you want it to go. Because everything starts in the mind. Everything starts as a thought. That's why I focus so much on the psychology and the metaphysical. Because without the thought, you will not have anything or everything that you're going through right now. Because once you have a thought about something, that evokes feeling. And once you evoke a feeling about something, that constitutes an action. And once you get an action, now all of a sudden you're starting to get results. But you can't focus on the result, which is the tail end of the stick, without focusing on the thought. It's no different than a dog chasing his tail. It's just running around in a circle. And you know how foolish it looks when it runs around in a circle? Change your thought first. Once you change your thought about something, your feelings about it will change. Then once your feelings about something change, all of a sudden now actions follow the feelings. And whenever you have action, you start having results. But unless you do it, and unless you change your mindset, unless you change your belief system, you will never get a different result. It is what it is. And I love talking to y'all, man, because I do this at my office Tuesday through Thursday. That's all I do, is I pour into my salesman. And I do that because I care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Once somebody knows how much you care, guess what? You can actually talk to them and they'll sit up there and listen. But if they know that you don't care, regardless of what you spit out, it's going to fall on deaf ears. It's going to fall on deaf ears. And now you're sitting up there wasting your time. The people that you're supposed to be touching, now all of a sudden, they disregarded you. You might as well not even be up there. But if you're genuine about what it is that you're doing, like Rack, and you do things from the bottom of your heart because you want better for people and you want them to succeed, now all of a sudden people want to listen. Now all of a sudden they're going to watch you and watch how you move. And when people watch how you move, they're watching how you move because they see something in you that they can possibly learn from. People are not going to watch you if they can't learn from you. Even when you think somebody's hating, they're trying to learn from you. They just don't know how to express it. And if people don't know how to express it, that's for them to figure out, not you. Your job is to continue doing what you're doing, because if you're not doing what you're doing, they wouldn't be hating on you in the first place. People only hate on someone that is doing something with themselves. When you're doing something with your life, when you're becoming successful and you're knocking out goals, that's when people hate on you. People don't hate on the bum sitting out there on the street. People don't hate on the people coming up to you asking you for change. They ain't got no reason to. Because when somebody gives you an opinion about you, they're telling you about themselves. That's something about themselves that they actually feel a certain way about, and they don't know how to express it. Because your insecurity is going to meet my confidence one day. And when your insecurity meets my confidence, guess what's going to happen? You're going to call me conceited. You're going to think I'm stuck up. You're going to think I'm arrogant. And the only reason why you think that is because my confidence is overshadowing your insecurity. You got to change your belief system. Because I'll take a person that has supreme confidence in what they're doing over somebody that's second guessing themselves any day. Any day. Because if you're second guessing yourself, there will never be any action. And like I said earlier, without action, there are no results. Because you're too busy trying to think it. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Okay, nah, let me do this. You know what? Let me just change it all together. You don't know what you want to do. Commit. Once you commit to something, guess what happens? Things get done. Y'all afraid to commit. I see it all day, every day. When you make a decision, that's a commitment. And you're supposed to be a person of your word, because that's how bonds are created that way. So when you say you're going to do something and all of a sudden you start changing your mind, you're deteriorating the bond between you and that person. And once you deteriorate that bond, it's hard to build that back up, because now all of a sudden you're being known as somebody who does not keep their word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Commit. Whether you don't feel like doing it or not, keep that same energy. Because I would rather be a person of my word. Because when you're a person of your word, people begin to lean on you. People begin to depend on you. And that's what you want. That's what being responsible is all about. You're able to live with the results, whether it's good or bad. I made the decision. I'm able to live with it. And guess what? Whatever it is that happens, whatever the consequences are, I'm able to deal with it. And I'm able to move on. Because you're going to make mistakes. Quit beating yourselves up like you've never made a mistake before. You cannot live a mistake-free life. That's not going to happen. There's no such thing. So guess what? Embrace them. Embrace the mistakes. Look forward to the mistakes. Because guess what happens when you make a mistake? You're actually learning. You're actually trying. You can't make a mistake unless you try. And you all are afraid to try because you're afraid of making a mistake. So guess what happened? You're not acting. You're not committing. All you're doing is overthinking everything. Change your belief system. Once you change your belief system, everything under that follows. All the ability, all the potential that you have within you will all of a sudden ascend. And it will never do that until your belief system changes. Because your potential can never outweigh your belief system. Sorry. It will never rise above the plane of your belief system. Your belief system has to rise in order for everything else to rise. And that story that you're telling yourself, change it. You're better than that. You should get tired of getting the crumbs and then the leftovers. It's time for you to get the whole loaf. And that's what leaders do. Leaders show you how to get the whole loaf. I am your favorite speaker, Britton Harvest. Hashtag breadcrumbs. Hashtag random acts of kindness, RAK. Hashtag rack motivation. Shout out to my son, Bo. I love you, man. They just won a championship. This is his first time winning a championship. 6 years old. I had a talk with him and I told him, I said, listen, man, very few kids get a chance to experience what the championship feels like, winning one. So enjoy it. Because you got a lot of kids out here that don't know what that feeling feels like. Enjoy it, embrace it. Now it's time to move on to something else. Proud of you. Couldn't be more proud of you than a lot of you all feel about your kids. Always build them up. Quit tearing them down. I always tell my son if he does something wrong, I show him where he went wrong, and all of a sudden I turn around and build him right back up. Because I don't want him to leave that feeling of, you know what, my dad always, every time he gets on me, is always about something that I'm doing wrong or I'm not doing correctly. It's a learning tool. It's a learning process. It's a teachable moment. And that's what we should do as parents, not just our kids, but everybody that we come into contact with. I love y'all, man. I'm out.